for the peace and prosperity of the whole humanity. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stapakaya Chadharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Chadharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We were discussing the topic, realize thyself. Once you realize your true self, then you will get into absolute freedom. There is no more birth or death afterwards. There are many ways to get into that absolute reality. For example, Raja Yoga. There, they ask you to follow the 8 steps, ethical and moral virtues and restraints. And they ask you to practice proper posture and breath control. Then they give instructions how to withdraw the senses and the mind from external objects. And you are taught to fix the mind on a spot or an object, and attaining single-pointed steady meditation, you'll be able to get into samadhi. Once the state of samadhi is reached and long unbroken period of meditation can be maintained, the aspirant then can proceed towards higher types of samadhi, which would enable him to transcend the ego and attain kaivalya, that is the absolute state. So, controlling, concentrating and transcending the mind forms the core of the discipline in Raja Yoga. There is another way, that is Bhakti Yoga. There you are asked to adopt any one of the personal aspects of God as your chosen deity and develop an intense love for your deity. You should meditate on the form of the deity, and also you must do japam of the divine name, and you should surrender yourself wholeheartedly to the divine. These are the ways to practice devotion to God. It may appear that this path is not in accordance with the scheme as set out in the beginning, and it is an approach maintaining duality, God and devotee, and culminating in duality, as even when one gets a vision of God, the ego of the devotee remains, maybe in a purified form. So, these thoughts may pose a kind of conflict about reaching the absolute reality one without a second. But it is not so. The path of devotion also leads to the same goal of experience, of the one non-dual experience. It is based on the Vedantic doctrine of the reality. Vedanta declares that there is only one non-dual existence which manifests as the universe of diversity. That ultimate unity is not within our field of experience now. This universe of multiplicity and diversity is essentially a combination of different forms and names, a manifestation of Nama-Rupa. As a first step towards apprehending the unity, the aspirant is first trained through the form and name of the chosen deity to reduce this infinite diversity to one form and one name, namely those of the chosen deity. When the mind is brought to this state, samadhi of various degrees of intensity is experienced by the devotee, and in due course he attains non-dual experience of total merger in the divine. When he loses the consciousness of separate existence of himself from the object of his adoration. The classical example of this development is Sri Narad Maharshi, who has set out his experience. In Srimad Bhagavata, you find a statement by Narad. It is written, immersed in the bliss generated by Sri Krishna's vision in meditation. Narad said, I ceased to perceive both, that is, the Lord as well as myself. In other words, he had attained the non-dual experience. In our modern times, we find the same repeated in the first major experience of Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar temple, when his ego was drowned in the surging waves of bliss and light which appeared to converge on him from all sides. It may be noted that Bhakti Yoga adopts the basic discipline of Raja Yoga, namely meditation, in addition to love and self-surrender. So too, self-surrender, Ishvara Pranidhanam, is an integral part of Raja Yoga, and the Yoga Sutras mention that by itself it is capable of bringing about samadhi. In fact, the technique of meditation on the personal aspect of God set out in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is practiced even today, is a fine combination and integration of Bhakti Yoga and Raja Yoga. So, in the final analysis, Bhakti Yoga leads to the absolute reality, that is, one without a second, your true self. When we come to Karma Yoga, we do have to face a certain amount of controversy. One view is that Karma Yoga doesn't take one directly to the Supreme. It leads to the purity of heart, and in the pure heart the self shines, or the presence of the self is experienced. Now, this is true not only of Karma Yoga, but in the case of all other yogas. The self is not to be produced or acquired by any effort whatsoever. So in any yoga, all that the aspirant does is to remove the veils or pierce through the veils covering the self. Chitta Shuddhi, purity of heart, refers to this process of removing the veils. Even in Jnana Yoga, simply by declaring that I am Brahman, one does not become Brahman. Neti, neti, not this, not this. By adopting this process, one has to reach the absolute reality. It is nothing but a process of training the mind to discard all the false perceptions, eventually leading to extinction of the mind by purification. In fact, when one realizes the absolute reality, mind merges, mind dissolves. He is what he is. Only an aspirant who is fully fit to receive the highest teaching of the Mahavakyas, of the Upanishads, gets immediate realization of the truth on hearing them. Others have to undergo a long process of purification, reasoning, and contemplation. The only recorded instance of such instantaneous realization in recent times is Sri Ramakrishna. His own Guru, Totapuri, had to strive for 40 years to attain the highest state. The movements of the mind, vrittis, which Raja Yoga tries to eliminate, are a direct result of impurities in the mind. The devotee comes face to face with the Lord when his heart becomes pure. Karma Yoga also achieves the same purpose by dispassionate performance of duties and offering of the fruits to the Lord. This requires a concentration of all the energies in the performance of the works, and then detachment from the fruits thereof, which in other words means a negation of the ego. A conscious effort is made to subdue the ego, and that involves control of the senses and mind. Transcending the ego will take place when the ego is thinned down in this manner over a long period of time. A mechanical performance of work is not karma yoga. It is a certain mental attitude that makes a yoga of our works. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse number 46, Yatah pravartar bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamabhyarchya siddhim vindati manavaha. From whom is the forthcoming of beings, by whom all this is pervaded, worshipping him by doing his own work, one attains perfection. We should consider that by our works we are worshipping the one from whom all beings proceed and who pervades the entire universe. In other words, our work should be a worship of the Virat Purush, the universal form of the divine. One is advised to work, giving up all attachment and maintain equanimity in success and failure. This self-poised state of mind is the Buddhi Yoga, advocated by the Gita, by the help of which one frees oneself from the bondage of karma and the good and evil results of karma. Those who have attained equanimity of mind by seeing the all-pervading reality have conquered creation, that is, phenomenal existence. Brahman is blemishless and all-pervasive in an equal measure, and therefore they are in Brahman. It is our likes and dislikes, thoughts of attachment and hatred that prevent us from realizing our true nature, which is pure consciousness. The moment we are free from both, we are in Brahman, in our true self. Therefore, perform our duties without attachment to the results thereof. Working without attachment, one attains to the Supreme. Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita. Equanimity and detachment are to be attained by seeing the divine in everything and remembering that everything belongs to the divine. This process is but another name for transcending the false, divisive perceptions of the mind and the senses and overcoming the ego. Owing to our ego, we think we are doers of the works and the enjoyers of the fruits thereof. Karma Yoga requires that both doing and enjoying should be devoid of egoism. Decreasing egoism as doer and enjoyer takes the aspirant nearer and nearer to truth. And when the ego is fully negated, one is fully established in truth. That's the way we should practice Karma Yoga. That's why we have been born on this earth, to work for acquiring that experience of truth. So, whatever yoga we may practice, the ultimate goal is to realize your own true nature. As Sri Ramakrishna says, all the faiths lead to the same goal. That goal is one without a second, the absolute Brahman, the supreme light, the light of all lights, the source of all sources, the substratum, ever existent, ever blissful, ever peaceful. That universal consciousness you will realize. Your individual consciousness is part and parcel of that universal consciousness. Because of the mind and the senses, the person becomes embodied and undergoes all sorts of experiences in this world. But if he concentrates upon his own consciousness, finally, with the help of practicing discipline, he would be able to reach that highest state of reality. Once he gets into that state, free from all desires, free from all attachment, free from all fear, in that state he doesn't want anything, he doesn't need anything, he doesn't ask for anything, he doesn't seek anything. So, in that highest state, he is just totally satisfied by experiencing that universal consciousness which is all blissful. That is what is described in the scriptures as nirvikalpa samadhi. Once a person gets into that nirvikalpa samadhi, he is no more in bondage, he is not to be born at all anymore. That means that person has reached the goal, that particular river has joined the ocean. That's the way. So, we are born in this world to practice discipline and to reach the goal, to realize our true nature. So that concludes my topic, Realize Thyself. Page 672. To Bankim, Sri Ramakrishna said, some people think that God cannot be realized without the study of books and scriptures. They think that first of all one should learn of this world and its creatures, that first of all one should study science or love. They think that one cannot realize God without first understanding His creation. Which comes first, science or God? What do you say? Bankim said, I too think that we should first of all know about the different things of the world. How can we know of God without knowing something of this world? We should first learn from books. Master said, that's the one cry from all of you. But God comes first and then the creation. After attaining God, you can know everything else if it is necessary. If you can know somehow, get yourself introduced to Jadu Malik, then you will be able to learn, if you want to, the number of his houses and gardens and the amount of his money invested in government securities. Jadu Malik himself will tell you all about them. But if you have not met him, and if you are stopped by his doorkeepers, when you try to enter his house, then how will you get the correct information about his houses, gardens, and government securities? When you know God, you know all else. But then you don't care to know small things. The same thing is stated in the Vedas. You talk about the virtues of a person as long as you have not seen him. But no sooner does he appear before you than all such talk stops. You are beside yourself with joy simply to be with him. You feel overwhelmed by simply conversing with him. You don't talk about his virtues anymore. First realize God, then think of the creation and other things. Valmiki was given the name of Rama to repeat as his mantra, but was told at first to repeat Mara. Ma means God and Ra the world. First God and then the world. If you know one, you know all. If you put 50 zeros after a one, you have a large sum. But erase the one and nothing remains. It is the one that makes the many. First one, then many. First God, then His creatures and the world. The one thing you need is to realize God. Why do you bother so much about the world, creation, science and all that? Your business is to eat mangoes. What need have you to know how many hundreds of trees there are in the orchard? How many thousands of branches and how many millions of leaves? You have come to the garden to eat mangoes. Go and eat them. Man is born in this world to realize God. It is not good to forget that and divert the mind to other things. You have come to eat mangoes, eat the mangoes and be happy. Bankim said, where do we get the mangoes? Sri Ramakrishna said, pray to God with a longing heart. He will surely listen to your prayer. if it is sincere. Perhaps he will direct you to holy men with whom you can keep company, and that will help you on your spiritual path. Perhaps someone will tell you, do this and you will attain God. Bankim said, who? The Guru? He enjoys all the good mangoes himself and gives the bad ones. Laughter. Master said, why should that be so? The mother knows what food suits the stomachs of her different children. Can all of them digest pilau and kalia? Suppose a fish has been procured. The mother doesn't give pilau and kalaya to all the children. For the weak child with a poor stomach, she prepares simple soup. But does that mean she loves him the less? One must have faith in the Guru's words. The Guru is none other than Chidananda. God himself is the Guru. If you only believe his words like a child, you will realize God. What faith a child has. When a child's mother says to him about a certain man, he is your brother, the child believes it. He really is his brother. The child believes it 125%. Though he may be the son of Brahmin and the man the son of a blacksmith. The mother says to the child, there is a bugaboo in that room. The child really believes there is a bugaboo in the room. Such is the faith of a child. One must have this childlike faith in the Guru's words. God can be realized by a mind, but he cannot be realized by a mind that is hypocritical, calculating, or argumentative. One must have faith and sincerity. Hypocrisy will not do. To the sincere, God is very near, but he is far, far away from the hypocrite. We shall stop here. Any questions to ask? It comes back as long as it cherishes desires. It is beyond the time, actually. The soul by itself is beyond the time. When it realizes the reality, it is no more taking birth. Why should he take a birth? If he has some desire to work upon, then only he should take a birth. If he is desireless, then the question of taking birth will not arise. That's the idea. He is totally satisfied by realizing the highest reality. That is the meaning of realize thyself. If you realize your own true self, that means you have joined the ocean. Then you are no more a river. You are the ocean itself. Yeah. As long as you desire, as long as you have got so many things to work upon, you keep on coming back and forth. So that is why one has to become desireless. On the other hand, divert all your desires towards God. Make your desire one-pointed, that is to realize truth. That should be your desire. So in order to realize it, you have to be born again and again so that your mind becomes thoroughly purified. Purification of the mind means freeing the mind from all samskaras. Mind becomes clean and clear. Then you will realize that mind itself is Atman. But that is possible only when you meditate on that reality. So, and moreover, how do you know you are free from all desires? Not only desires, you must be free from the impurities. Also mean that one should be free from anger, one should be free from jealousy, one should be free from hatred, all those things. But when a person is loaded with all these ideas of likes and dislikes, that means his mind is not pure enough. As long as the mind is not pure, one cannot realize the truth. One has to go beyond likes and dislikes. Ragadvesha viyuktanam, Lord Krishna says in the Gita. You have to get rid of both likes and dislikes. Reject both of them. That is a state of desirelessness. Why should you like one? Why should you hate another? That's the point. it's all right, but even that attachment also can sublimate in a way. See God in the dog. You feel that God is a manifestation of, yeah. When you call it as, when you think of your dog as God, that's a wonderful thing. In fact, God is providing you an object so that you can express your love and serve the dog in that attitude. Attitude is important. With that attitude, if you do, Sri Ramakrishna himself tells in the parable, a person was fond of a goat, and he said, you see Lord Vishnu in the goat itself. And finally he agreed and he did it, and he was very happy afterwards. The story comes in the parables. It is true. The point is attitude. That's important. What attitude you are looking upon, serving upon, etc. Anyway, you have saved it from its death. If you had not taken, probably he would have put it to sleep. Yeah, that's true. That's good. Perfectly all right. All right, we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. Own name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of Thyself, O Self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bath for weary souls. Various are Thy names, O Lord, in each and every name Thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of Thy name. So vast is Thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to Thy name. O may mind be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to Thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years. When my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, for Thou art my heart's beloved, Thou and Thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good bread all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied, for He being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased, He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.